This is the true essence of this video because I want you to pick up from my mistakes. And when I look back, this is years ago. When I look back now, I can truly see all the stuff that I did wrong. And I'm going to talk about some of them now. The first thing that I learned through this process is one, to plan and strategize properly. What I mean by that is when you are an entrepreneur and you're creating something, the natural juices flow in the sense that you get excited so much that your excitement may blind you from actually doing your proper research, knowing your market, and being able to forecast what's going to happen in that industry or that market. I suffered from all these three things in the sense that I really let my excitement and my passion blind me from doing all of my due diligence. And I just thought, man, I'm looking at right now, things are good. Social media was rising. And this was a way also, what was popular back then was the fact that a lot of people were cutting the cables, meaning they were switching from your traditional cable television to now Netflix and Hulu. So I thought this was the perfect time to get into this. Well, I didn't think of YouTube or my supposed partners and producers going behind my back and basically selling the same content for dirt cheap, which is free on YouTube. That was one of the biggest lessons I learned through this process, was to do your proper due diligence and, in a way, work backwards. By that, a great book I read after all of this happened is a book called Traction, which I'll talk about in a video. Make sure you stay tuned. Traction talks about doing the reversal, meaning whenever you're creating a product for a big or small market, always do your research first and see if there's actually a need for this product. Okay, so what that means is before you invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into a business or whatever project, make sure you actually invest some time and some effort into researching the market first. And by researching, you could do a soft test on the market. Maybe it's a survey, or go further by sending people things or having a group to test something and see if there's a true need for this. And if there is, you have a proof of concept, then you can invest more in creating a product based on the feedback that you got from your market test. Basically, it's doing marketing before creating the product, if that makes any sense. So start your marketing process long before you actually create the product, because generally the way things work is you create a product and then you start marketing it. Try to start the marketing alongside with the product development. So that's something I learned. Next lesson I learned is the fact that money can actually create more problems than solve them. Or maybe I should reverse that and say that having money can blind you from problems that you have, and money will not solve all of your problems in business. And here's what I mean by that. When I first jumped into the idea of this startup, I was doing well. Like, I had a good amount of money saved up and my goal was to fund it myself. When I did that, this is what happened. Again, I put a team together, paid for a bunch of equipment, paid for all the programming stuff, and along the way we would get just different things that would need some problem solving. Instead of actually looking at the problem, like really looking at the problem and see how to properly resolve that problem, I would just throw some money at it. I'm like, okay, we've got some money. Send the right people, or I hired a few people there, now that I think about it, that didn't even need to be a part of the team. You know what I mean? But because there was cash available, I tried to use money to solve all of my problems. And again, also generally as an entrepreneur, understand that before you got into any type of money or resources, you were smart about things. You knew how to hustle. You knew how to use the limited amount of resources that you had. But now when you come into a lot of cash, you figure, well, now you have money, then you don't have to, use your brain power. You don't have to be smart about your decisions anymore. You just try to use money and throw it at whatever problems you have. So that was the next lesson for me, was that I realized in the end that money could not solve all the problems, and perhaps I could have saved so much if I just really looked at the problems that we had and then try to strategize and properly resolve it. The next thing I learned is the fact that You need a community, and if you have access to mentorship, it can mean everything. It literally can mean you being successful and you're not, period. If you have somebody who's been through the same gauntlet or gone through the same road or similar road that you're trying to go on, it makes all the difference. And as I said, in my case, I migrated from New York, where I had a community of people that we supported each other, to now a new city where I was pretty much brand new. I didn't know anybody in the city that I moved to. And even if I was successful with this business, it still would have taken more heartaches than it should have. What I'm trying to say is, if you're in the same basket right now, if you decide to move from somewhere where you are already established and you have a community there and you have a culture there, think about it before you go into a city that you would not have anyone, or you would have to put the legwork to try and build and create new relationships. Now, if you were moving to another city where you already have people that you know, or a community there that can help you, then it makes things a lot easier. The ultimate is, if you have a mentor that's been through or built businesses, basically that's what you want. You want somebody who has already gone through the same failures or have been successful at what it is that you are trying to create, or has been successful in the same industry. You really want to tap into their knowledge base, because they can save you a lot of problems that you could come across, and they can advise you. And I wish I had that, but I didn't care back then. I was too excited, like I said, and the ultimate result was falling on my face. And the last point I want to make is the fact that failure is not what it's propped to be, honestly. Yeah, it really sucks and it does hurt. It can be really personal too. But understand that just about every successful person that you come across today have had some type of failures. And I've spoken to other entrepreneurs and successful businessmen and women who have lost way more than I've lost, millions and millions of dollars. They got back up and they were able to go at it again. And that's the case for me. You know, for a year there, I was not myself. I was in a really dark place, partly because I didn't have a sense of direction as to where I wanted to go next or be next. I also went from somebody who was, I would say, living life at this level to now like just all the way down here where I felt unseen. I lost my confidence, and it was important for me to find myself outside of what I do, because you know, we live in a culture where we tie our who we are to what we do. And I've worked over the years to be able to make that separation. Who I am is not necessarily what I do. As a matter of fact, if you met me for the first time today and you asked me a generic question like, what do you do for a living? Chances are, I don't know. I would not be able to tell you what I do for a living, because I've done so many things. And when I think of what I'm doing right now, there's not a real profession or name for it. I'm just doing something that brings me joy and something that I'm able to monetize, right? So I can be a lot of different things, but I've worked on myself over the years where I'm not necessarily tying what I do and who I am together. Because again, when I think of what happened with that mess that I created, was I really saw that what I did failed, and so it also meant that I failed and that I was a failure and that I was not good for anything. And just you lose your confidence when you dedicate 2 years of your life to creating something and it didn't work out. For me to rise out of that, I really had to recognize myself again, asking for help from other people, and really also talking to other individuals who had been through a similar situation before, and other individuals who have been able to recreate themselves. And as an entrepreneur, you may need to do that. Recreate yourself. You're not limited to one thing. And when things don't work out, it's not always something that you did or that you did wrong. Now, there's always a lesson to be learned, but sometimes it's just not the right time. You may have the perfect idea and the perfect strategy and execution, but you may be in the wrong time. It's happened over and over again throughout history. So there might be factors that is completely outside of your control when you fail at something. So for me, I had to realize that this was not the end, and also understanding that I was pretty young. I still had so much more ahead of me, and I realized that I can go ahead and still create whatever I wanted to. And I had been successful once before at other things, right? So if you fail at something, that doesn't mean that you're a complete failure. You may have been successful, even more successful, with other things that you did prior or other things that you've yet to do. And so basically just re-educating myself, and then again just finding the inner peace to be able to get up again. And for me, in my journey, I was really grateful to have a support system. It's one of the reasons, like I said, that I moved out from this foreign city where I didn't really have a sense of community there or family there, and I wanted to move closer to my community that I left in New York, and also just family. I took my family for granted. You know, you spend so much time around your family, and I'm someone who grew up around a strong family tie, and I took that for granted. I didn't realize how much just the support was until I moved closer back. So now that I've been able to pick myself up and I'm successful at what I do now, it's no coincidence. It's because of the energy and the support that I get around me. So I think about all of that now as I'm getting ready to jump on the next big thing for me. And so that's why I thought I should make this video also. It's an anniversary of my failures, but more of my lessons. And I hope that these lessons help you if you're getting ready to jump on the same train or something similar. Perhaps you're already on your journey. Just understand these things. Don't be too much ahead of yourself. Give yourself time. Try to learn from people who have already walked your path or the path that you're planning to walk, and chances are you will be successful at whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you got educated about things. Please leave any feedbacks or questions in the comment below. I'll be sure to check them. Thanks again. My name is Mike, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace.